Hello and welcome back. So we're now going to review the project survey results from the 2021 open source telecom software project survey. Now, before I start, I need to thank the sponsors because without their support, TAD Summit EMEA Americas doesn't happen. That's Automart, Ava Networks, GoContact and Broadvoice, Strolid, Radisys, and Telnix. Now, I'm going to be chopping up this presentation into lots of little ones so you can just dip in for each project that you care about rather than having to listen to a long rambling presentation across a whole host of different projects. Again, taking feedback from last year and trying to make it as easy as possible to get to what you care about. So on with it. First, Asterisks. This shows project survey results. Now, in 2021, we had 24 responses versus 66 responses in 2019. Now, the reason for that, as I mentioned, is we had a rather large general survey, and by the time everybody finished the general survey, they were like, okay, I'm done. I don't have time, energy to do any projects. So even though we had quite a lot of project surveys, more than we had in 2019, so we had so many more projects that were being reviewed, the overall response levels were lower for each of the projects. So that's why what we're going to do for next year is just have a general survey, no project review, because the results, as you can see, are broadly similar. And then the following year, the general survey is going to be very short, and it'll just be the focus on the different project reviews. So it's similar results with PBX, contact center top, as you would imagine with Asterisks. Conferencing dropped down, but in a way that's because video conferencing is sort of the default these days. Also, we added in this year class 4, class 5 soft switch. So as you can see, that is an important use case for Asterisks and actually several of the other projects. We missed it off. Again, you live and you learn in these surveys. Though some of the others did drop down. As I said, overall response rate for all these surveys was the highest, but as I say, we were asking quite a lot of questions, and the project surveys suffered a little. Then we asked, in the past 18 months, what new projects have you undertaken with Asterisks? So implementing Wezo, carrier class switches, recording audio and voice bots, as you'd imagine. That's popped up in a number of different areas, performance projects, migration to the most recent version, migration to PJSIP from ChanSIP, migration to ARI, and that's got some really good feedback. Again, we'll review that later in this survey: text-to-speech, speech-to-text, call center dialers, automatic call distribution, etc. Now, we also asked about the scale. Now, this was quite interesting. This is 2019, and in 2021, it was more medium, and we had a few more at the 1 million plus. And of course, for the scale, that is saying thanks to OpenSIPs and Kama-Elio in helping Asterisks deliver on such large scale deployments. And again, it's sort of this collaboration between the different projects is so essential to enabling implementation success like this. Now, the survey results, in terms of strengths, weaknesses, very similar to 2019. That's the reason for the project surveys we're most probably going to do every 2 years than every year. Simplicity, stability, community, maturity. That 21 years of existence is essential to its success. Relatively easy to find consultants. And this I thought was really nice, is the Asterisks gateway interface is great for separating advanced features from the core SIP functions. So, great support for that. On weaknesses, of course, everybody beats up on Sangoma. I mean, Sangoma are clear. We're giving money to the team does what it wants to do. So, and they are supporting it, with many millions of dollars in terms of investment. And, other feedback that, is similar to what we'd heard previously, can be a little tough to use as a soft switch and not that receptive to features that aren't, in their use case roadmap. And, I mean, knowing the team, they know what they're going to do and they're going to do it. So if you're not, on that particular train, you do feel a little bit sort of ignored to an extent. But again, every project is the loop, the feel, how people respond to the project is driven so intensely by the core team and the character of the core team, how they behave. And I think that's part of why Quayle and OpenSIPs are so well reviewed in these surveys, is because they're so open and the people genuinely care and are approachable and very human. I mean, because the core team are exceptionally smart, exceptionally gifted programmers. And the people they're working with aren't necessarily as smart, as gifted a programmer, but we're all human. I think it's that humanity I see is one of the differentiators in between a well-reviewed and a less well-reviewed project. And looking at the future, of course, will remain the dominant IPPBX in this space. Yes, Sangoma, I mean, it's one of those that it's their sugar daddy, but the sugar daddy sees the money it makes in having Asterisks there. So, I mean, it's always going to be concerned. There's no way around it. But, I think that, to date, it's a project that continues to build, on success, on success. Then looking in a little bit more detail, we then looked into, what client protocol, interface platform, and this is just ordered by the frequency it was mentioned. So classic SIP phone, SIP.js, bare SIP, classic SIP, not always on the phone, etc., etc. Have you developed your own low-level features and given them back? And this covers, basically it wasn't accepted, or it's a custom feature. There's little relevance for the project. And then how do you architect VM images? Dominates with bare metal, and then the container images and container orchestration, just that's niche. And then Ansible for configuration management. Again, my recommendation is get those scripts out. Make it so easy. Have a video that goes step 1, step 2, step 3. Woohoo! You have a PBX up and running. Because once people have something there that they can start playing around with, they build confidence, and we need to expand the community. Most, basically host the project themselves. So hybrid and cloud lower. And then how do you support redundancy? Quayle and OpenSIPs, of course, the dominant, and they just go hand in hand, and it's so easy to use. Again, having scripts that enable you to set up, using Quayle and OpenSIPs with Asterisks, so you basically can, get all that code working together in your environment as fast as possible, is very powerful for getting people to move up the learning curve, build the confidence, start using these projects. You saw, in all the IoT projects that these projects are used in. It's not just telecoms, boring sort of voice stuff. There's so many more applications related to video. Then looking at, the community, ease of access, ease of, enhancing, finding consultants, very similar results between 2019 and 2010. It's a mature project. You're not going to see that much change. I mean, there could be some contextual factors, but this just shows if you're mature, it is what it is.